In the last video, I started off by saying what we need to do after the NCLEX. Now you've passed the NCLEX, what's next? We talked about you taking the IELTS, okay? And if you've not seen that video, please, I'm going to link the video down in the description box. Please go see that video. In this video, we're going to be talking about agencies. I know, a lot of people have been waiting for me to talk about this. A lot of people have been waiting to hear what I have to say about these agencies and how you tend to pick them out. From a personal experience, right? When I passed the NCLEX, I had already passed the IELTS as well. I was in a state of confusion. There were all this agency, some of them reached out to me. There were so many things to apply. There were so many things to look out for. And I didn't exactly know what to look out for. I didn't know what to go for. I didn't know the questions to ask and things like that. First of all, I want to explain why you need an agency. Okay, an agency would help you file for you coming to the United States. For you to file an employment-based category 3 visa, which is what you're going to be filed for. This particular class of visa are for people who are, professionals, skilled professionals like doctors, nurses, and the likes of that. For you to come into the United States with this particular visa, you need somebody to file for you. So why I keep saying somebody, it could be an agency, it could also be an employer, it could be a direct employer, it could be, we just need an entity filing for you, an organizational body, people who are who are able to pay you in accordance to the labor laws of the United States. Okay, so they need to be able to file this for you to come into the United States. This is why you need an agency. Some people will tell you, oh, you don't need an agency. You don't need it. You do need an agency. It could be a staffing, it could be a direct hire. All right. What an agency stands for and these different kinds of agency, I'm going to be breaking them down in this video. Okay, so stay tuned and stay to the end of this video with me. Okay, there are two types of agencies. There are the staffing and then the direct hire agency. Staffing, just like the name means, this is a staffing agency, so they have a lot of nurses under their belt, and they send these nurses to different hospitals that are short-staffed and that need nurses, right? So it's like a recruitment company, the way they have headhunts and stuff. So it's like a recruitment company. They are the ones, they vet you and then they send you out to their clients. And their clients pay them a certain amount of money for them to be able to bring you to them. All right. So you work for this agency, but you're physically working in their client facility. All right. And then there is direct hire. So direct hire is basically like a middleman. So this agency, they bring you, they vet you, they make sure you have all the correct documents, and then they set you up, they set interview ups with some of their clients with you, right? And if their clients pick you and say, okay, you fit this position, you're what we want, this is who we need, and you fit this description, now you become an employee of those their client, not the agency. So the agency just stands as a third man in the group. Now you might want to ask me, which of them do I go for? Each of these agencies have their pros and they also have their cons. Let's start with staffing. Okay, the pros of staffing is this: they are able to, they have a lot of clients under their belt. They have lots of people under their belt. They help you with relocation allowances. They help you with a lot of things settling down. They're kind of like faster in a way, and people also believe they have more connections. When I mean connections, like legal, they have good legal aids, lawyers and things like that to file your papers and all whatnot you need. They have a whole team working with you. So you have somebody specially assigned to you that is going to go through XYZ with you, that is going to help you with everything and every step of the process. That's going to be a fourth man person. Okay, so that are some of the pros. Now, some of the cons are people believe that they pay less. Overall, one, they pay less. Two, you are not a direct staff of the hospital. So it's like I am with you, but I am not with you. Do you get that feeling? So you're like, I'm here, but I'm not here. And some of this client facility tend to make you feel that way. While some people would, take you in as one of their own. Number three con is that they see you as a travel nurse. Okay, so sometimes some of these people, they give you the worst patient. You have the shortest orientation time. You're not really acclimatized properly to the United States nursing world and things like that. I mean, these are just some of the things, and also breaking the contract with these particular people. Sometimes the fees are quite hefty. Now, moving on to direct hire. What are some of the pros of direct hire? You are a direct staff of the hospital. You are seen as one of their clinical staffs. Okay. Two, another pro is the fact that they tend to pay better. So they kind of pay you in accordance to what the labor market in that particular state is like. Okay, they pay you more, and also they pay you in accordance to your experience, the experiences that you've had back home in Nigeria, back home in your home country, always count. Okay, so they don't see you as a new grad or anything. They pay you in accordance to your status. So if you have 3 years experience under your belt, they pay you as a United States nurse who has 3 years nursing experience. Okay, if you have 10 years, they pay you in accordance to that or something really close to that. All right, and when you decide to end the contract, the fee is not as hefty as staffing. All right. Now, what are the cons of direct hire? So, if you have a family, you tend to pay everything you need to pay for your family. Okay, you have to bring the money up front. And then for some people who are financially challenged, because I mean the NCLEX has taken a lot of money from you, so you can imagine how that, you're looking for that break, that breath of fresh air. Then you're asked to pay, for example, for the fee bill for each of your dependents, $345 per person. And when you times that with people who have 5 children plus their husbands, so six, who have family members that are six, five, that's quite a lot of money. So for the staffing agency, it's not like you don't do what I just mentioned, but now they pay for you, and then when you come into the United States, you can pay them back gradually. Now, some direct hire would do that, but not all. So now that we've known the difference between these two, here are some questions you need to ask yourself before you decide who to go with. Because some people are so confused. People tell them, oh, go with these people. Oh, I went with them. They worked for me. What worked for me might not work for you. And what worked for your friend might not work for you. So that's why you need to do your personal research. You need to ask yourself these questions as well. The first question is, are they going to put me in the state that I want? Do they have a place in the particular state that I want? Some people have family here already in the United States, and they're looking forward to staying with their family, being in the same state at most with their family. While some people are like, okay, like me, who don't have any family, decide to just go anywhere is fine, right? But different people have different reasons. So, would they put me with my family? The second question would be, are they willing to pay for these things when I don't have the money? Because some agencies would keep your entire process on pause until you are able to bring the money for each and every one of your family. So you have to think, in an event where I don't have this money, will that be an option? they have to put my entire process on pause? Would they be able to pay upfront for me and then I pay them back, or I pay them gradually? Also, how long is the contract? How long do I have to stay with these people? What are the benefits staying with these people? Are they sign-on bonuses? Are they relocation bonuses? These are the questions you need to ask yourself before you decide to choose who you want to. Don't get me wrong, these two agencies are amazing in bringing you to the United States. They are amazing at helping you accomplish that your American dream, but you also need to ask yourself, which of them do I want to go with? Do not try going ahead with the flow and just, oh, everybody went with this, let me go with them. Do your personal research. Another question is, how fast are they able to file your papers, pay the fees that are required, smoothing any bumps on the road on your immigration process? Can they do this? Can they help you with it? For example, if you're pregnant and you know your due date is around the corner, are they able to make some tweaks to be in favor of you? In the contract, what are the things to look out for in a contract? The first and most important, if you ask me, is, does overtime count towards my entire contract? I'm going to break that down for you. I know I just said a lot. Let me explain what overtime means, okay? In the United States, a full-time job for a nurse is 36 hours, which is 12-hour shift or 5 8-hour shifts, depending on where you work. But 3 12s are amazing. But I mean, we'll get into the two differences and how you decide which is best for you. Okay. So 3 12s are the standard, right? So anything over time is anything above 40 hours. Even though you worked 3 12s, which is 36 hours, most people consider anything above 40 hours a week. So if I decide to pick an extra shift now, and decide to work 4 days in a row, okay, so I have worked my normal 3 days and I'm now working an extra 1 day. Does that extra 12 hours I'm working, does it count towards my overtime, my overall contract? Now, what this does is, if it does count, it means your contract years are shortened. Okay? But if you work in the regular 3 12s only, you're going to do the full time they need you to work for them. The average amount of years usually on this contract are 3 years. I mean, when you're in Nigeria or when you're in your country, you've not come into the United States, you're like, yes, 3 years, what is there? Before you know it is done, it is finished. We have finished it, there's nothing there. That's not quite right. Okay. Now, but this is an average. This is the standard. It's usually 3 years. Before now, a couple of years ago, it was up to 4 5 years. Okay. Now they bring it to an average of 3 years. All right. Now, for some people, it is 3 years on the mark. That leads me to my next question to ask. The next question is, are my contracts counted in hours worked, or are they counted by years? How many years I've worked? I'm going to explain. So even when you work 3 12s, okay, there are some days you could spend 1 hour because extra at work because you're giving report, or you're doing something or something had come up, you spent an hour or 2 hours extra, things like that. When you combine that over the years, it could shorten your time to about two years and 2 years and 8 months or something. You might be saying 2 months is not a lot. I mean, it's a lot. 4 months is a lot if you think about it. Okay, so when your contract is counted by hours, they tend to go down, when the hours accumulate. If you work for 37 hours that week, or if you work for 40 hours that week, it tends to calculate it, they put it down. So when you're working in contract, a standard hour contract is usually 6,000 hours to 6,240 hours to about 5,000 5,000 and something hours, basically. Those are like the standard. So it's basically that 6,240 hours means 36 hours every week for 3 years. The next question to ask is, does my orientation season count in my contract? Now, this question is important because you have to be on a 3 months orientation. It is very important you're on this orientation. They would not cut this orientation time out, and some people would not count your contract that 3 months. They wouldn't count it. Okay. Some people would start counting that contract after the orientation. So after 3 months. So you're working for free. I mean, they're paying you, but it's not part of your contract, basically. Okay, so this is the question you need to ask. You need to check and ask them these questions. So some people, even though your contract period, your orientation period is so short, they might shorten it to 4 weeks to 5 weeks. The agency will still want you to do the entire 3 months because they know it's not going to count towards your overall time. So you need to be able to ask them this question: does my orientation period, does it count towards my overall time? The next question would be, over the years of this contract, are they salary increment? Am I being paid in accordance to the cost of living of this particular state? And are they going to be increment of salary? So some agencies would increase your pay every year. Some would increase your pay after the first 6 months. Some would increase your pay after the first 2 years. Some will increase your pay every year, every first year anniversary. So for example, I started working 1st of January 2023. 1st of January 2024, I'm expected to get a salary increment. Okay, that is some people. While some people, it's the flat rate. What you're being paid is what you're going to be paid throughout the course of your contract with them. So if you're being paid $35 an hour, you're going to be paid $35 an hour for the next 3 years. While for some people, they get $2 to $4 increase every year. So if I started off this year, for example, at $35, next year at my 1 year anniversary, I should be getting $37, for example. So depending on what the increment is. So some people, you need to ask this question: am I getting increase? Is it a flat rate? Is this what I have to go ahead and keep doing? Okay. The next question you also need to ask and also need to look for in your contract before you sign is, look at it and say, if I choose to terminate my contract in the event where I'm working, the client facility they are bullies, they're doing things that I don't like, or they're doing, you don't feel comfortable anymore in that place, or you don't even feel comfortable with the agency anymore, you want to change, you want to do something different, and you decide to end your contract, but the contract has not officially ended, but you want to just break it and say, okay, no, I'm going to be terminating my contract. Because part of the things you need to check is, are there free will? It's very important to ask this question. Are there free will? Can I decide to break my contract myself? Can I decide that this is the end of this contract? Or is it just the agency or the client facility that can terminate your contract? You need to check for that. And then you also need to check, in the event that I terminate the contract, how much do I pay back? Now, some people break these things down and tell you, oh, if you spend 1 month, we are going to do a prorated rate and give you XYZ amount. If you've spent 3 years, if you spent 2 years, we're going to do a prorated rate and say, okay, this is what you're owing us. So I need you to note that it's going to be a little bit different for people who the agency had helped them from IELTS stage to the NCLEX phase. They had sent you out of the country and brought you back in, things like that, to take your exams. They paid literally for everything. Now, this clause yours might be a little bit higher compared to somebody who had come in with their NCLEX and their IELTS already, right? So what you need to do is check that particular phase, look at it, because I remember I said during the pros and the cons that some of these fees are quite hefty. It could be up to $30,000. It could be up to $35,000. It could be up to $40,000. So you need to check. Okay, and if it's that high, if it's as high as $40,000, that should be a red flag. That should be something you should, want to look closely at. Okay, but just be very sure. So the next question is, can you get transferred to a different unit? For example, you've been working in the med surg for years, and you came into the United States and you continue working in the med surg, all right, and 2 years in, you're like, I think I want to go to the ICU. I think I want to go to the PACU unit. I think I want to go to the OR. Are you allowed to switch? And if you're allowed to switch, do you continue on that same contract, or does your contract get rewritten? What happens when you decide to switch? The United States has a lot of opportunities for registered nurses. I mean, lots of opportunities. The opportunities are literally endless. I am not capping. It's so true. The opportunities to do anything you want as a registered nurse in the United States is endless. So you can decide, I came in with MedSurg. I want to go to the cardiac floor. I want to go to the IMC. I want to go to outpatient. Just, can you change these things? Can you change units? What would it take? Do you have to travel out? Do you have to stay in there? Now, the last question I would say, I mean, there are lots of questions, but these are like the ones I feel like are most important. The last questions I would ask you to ask is, what are the non-compete? Yes, you heard me right. The non-compete. So basically what the non-compete means is, if I decide that I'm no longer working with you, this is the end of my contract with you, am I allowed to work for the competition? Part of some people's non-compete is you have to move at least 50 miles away from the previous hospital you just worked. While some people would say you have for the next 1 year, you can't work with any of the people that we have, we are in competition with you. So you have to ask these questions. Now that you're back home, you're in the UK, in Nigeria, in Ghana, in South Africa, maybe you're in all these countries, right? Might be thinking to yourself, I mean, if I decide I'm no longer interested, I can just walk away, I can just leave. Yes, you can, but you also need to check what the non-compete is, because if you are in violation of your non-compete, there is every possibility that these guys would sue you. Yes. So you just need to make sure. Okay, you just need to make sure. The next video I'm going to be talking about is I'm still thinking. I don't know if I should go in and explain in details. I think that is what I'm going to do. Next video is going to be in details of what the immigration process is like and how long it can take. I'm going to be explaining retrogressions. I'm going to be explaining the DS-260s and all you need to know about the processes, I-140s, and the rest of those stuff. Okay, I'm going to be explaining all the immigration journey, the immigration processes from the beginning to the end, to once you have your green card in your arms. Okay, look forward to my next video. It's going to be interesting, especially if you're already in the process, so you know what the process was before you and what the next process is going to be. All right, so that way you're prepared, you'll have everything you need to know. All right, thank you so much for watching this video. If you watched to the end of this video, I am deeply, deeply grateful. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye.